so key.
That's a great segue.
You'd be surprised, man, how cheap, as someone who's been to therapy, like I just went just to try it out. I was like, oh, therapy. And you watch so many movies, they're on the couch, they're talking to the therapist. I was
Hey,
like,
I've done therapy, and most
it's a $5 copay.
yeah, most insurance providers do give you X number of couch trip sessions,
Right, yeah.
per year.
And so my therapy story, I'm not going to get into the details, but I went for a few sessions.
God help your therapist.
Yeah, really. Ooh, boy. Ooh, man.
Your therapist now sees a therapist.
Yeah, but so I went for a few sessions. Then it ended up like we just ended up talking about Chamorro history. So it was like I would go and it'd be like, yeah. Anyway, so what were you telling me last week about, when the ancient Chamorros and this and that, and it would just turn into this whole which is in a way therapy, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. Anyway, and this is a cool seg, and we do have Dr. Kristiana Whitman of Guam Behavioral Health and Wellness Center on. Totally didn't plan that, Doc, but
I thought you were leading with those questions to the mayor, though. I
was just checking on her, how's she doing? But no, it is key, right, Doc? I mean, just plug on therapy.
Absolutely,
right?
And there is nothing wrong with obtaining therapy services. I mean, mental health services are so important, even as a way of just checking in with ourselves. And, if anyone is concerned about cost, Guam Behavioral Health and Wellness Center does provide no-cost services. So, and there are a number of private providers who also provide sliding scale, sliding fee services.
Right.
So I think it is a little bit more accessible than it once was. And we do hope that the stigma associated with receiving services is reduced.
One thing that I thought was really cool about going to therapy, especially on Guam, and I don't know if you come across this a lot in your work, but Guam is so small, and it's like sometimes you can be really close with your friends or whatever, but you don't necessarily want to tell them your issues or what you're going through, or maybe they're tired of hearing it because they'll be like, God, it's the same thing as last year, what the heck, or you know what I mean? And so when you go to therapy, it provides a venue for you to just really, and that's what it was for me. It was just like, okay, I got to tell you all this stuff right here. I was like, woo, boy. I mean, literally, I was like, woo, oh, God. Felt good to get that out. And that's cool about it because on Guam, being so small, and we just got to be mindful of all our relationships and just even like discussing issues that are bothering you. You never know. That could end up stepping on someone in your family's toes or in your life's toes. And so I like to look at the therapy as like it's a bubble where you can kind of just unload and, they're bound by, for the most part, by having to keep it confidential.
Well, my own experience with therapy was, the year my dad passed away and everything. There were a bunch of different things happen. Like, my dad passed away January of that year. 2 days after Thanksgiving, we lost my grandfather, and I got my heart broken right in between that. So, like that year was emotionally that was a pretty steep hill to climb and everything like that. And my own nature and the way my grandparents raised me were, not to make a big production out of everything, just try and be like even keel. And, I had a very learned person who is in science and basically say, it's okay to emote. You can, like let it out. And it's actually unhealthier for you to keep it bottled inside. And it was weird because, and the person was also like, what you're going through isn't what anybody else on planet Earth isn't feeling right now. So I know you're getting inside your head and thinking, you're all by yourself and, it's all alone. This is completely natural, and it is a process.
How's your heart, though?
Well, working on this show, you've made it so much easier.
Right, yeah. So you're okay now?
Yeah.
That's good. Good for you.
You healed my heart, essentially.
Thank you. You do things for mine,
you guys
too.
have done my job. I don't need to talk about anything.
Yeah, okay, we're good, Doc.
No, I was gonna say, Doc, you want to give us a minute and come back in like maybe like 5?
No, so anyway, we get Dr. Whitman on of Guam Behavioral Health and Wellness Center because they're continuing this great lunch hour peace talks with the peace group. And Doc, you've had some great themes throughout this thing. So what are we looking at it's tomorrow, right? What's the theme?
Yeah, it's tomorrow. And we're actually really excited about this theme because in collaboration or celebration of Earth Month, we are talking about the earth. Nurturing our roots is our theme. And we're really focusing in on the relationship between our environment and mental health. And so not always an obvious relationship, but it's funny because I kind of thought of this theme, it came to me as you guys were promoting your dirty politics little segment, and I was like, you know what, really, it's so true. All of our the spaces we live in, when we look outside our windows, it really does impact how we feel. And so we're going to have some environmental stewards. So Muñeca de Oro from the Micronesian Climate Alliance, which is really a strong grassroots organization that's come out pretty heavily in the last couple of years, is going to be on with us. Then we'll have someone from CIS, Center for Island Sustainability, represent their services, and then a mental health professional from Guam Behavioral Health and Wellness Center, Julie Merrill, who's a licensed professional counselor with us, who's going to really hone in on the mental health aspects and therapeutic benefits of really being an environmental steward in our community. So real exciting topic. And again, I think it's not something that we talk about it very often or really see the direct, relationship, but it makes sense.
It does.
Everything, the place we live in impacts everything else, right?
Like when we're out of these dump sites, right? I can't help but think about the children. I mean, not to be cliche, but when they see how the adults treat the environment, it just, to me, I would feel, and I've lived in places where growing up poor, you see, it just makes you feel hopeless, helpless.
Yeah.
You just feel like it's hard to have a sense of pride about not just where you're at, but who you are, because a lot of times who you are is about where you're from. And so it does have an impact, right? When you and a lot of these dumps, they're like right next to the bus stop. And so you got kids who were telling, no, I believe the children of the future. Well, yeah, we don't care about you enough to clean up this area for you guys so that you can feel proud as you walk to the bus stop. So, yeah, I could definitely see, although it's not really obvious at first, right, the mental part of it. But when you really think about it, it's like, oh, God, yeah. I mean, in some ways, it's almost worse. It's almost as bad as the environmental impact.
Exactly. So yeah, it really does tie into, our cultural identity, just like you said. So yeah, like I said, we're excited that we got a couple of real strong, passionate people talking with us, and we'll have a nice lunchtime conversation, and hopefully it will activate people to do something, and really, even if it's something as simple as just like you said, modeling it for our children, right? Being more conscientious about how we're using our waste and how we're using our resources. So I think oftentimes people think that, using a reusable bag is the end all be all, but really it encompasses so much more, and it really does play a big role in our overall wellness. So yeah, I hope that, the community can join us. It's tomorrow at noon via Zoom. You just have to complete a short registration form. I think Jason is sharing it in the chat box.
Yep, it's in our comments already, Doc. We got you.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Thank you guys so much for helping us push our prevention services and our communication with the community. Also, just a quick plug, May is Mental Health Month, so you'll be hearing much more from us on from Guam Behavioral Health and Wellness Center,
right, and
some additional services and events for next month.
Doc, before you go, you talked about the therapy services. How do they, is there a number they can call or, to check that out?
Absolutely. So the Guam Behavioral Health and Wellness Center Crisis Hotline, 647-8833 or 34, is answered 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And by calling that line, you can definitely talk with someone. But if you decide you want additional services, we can set you up with that immediately over the phone, or you can come into our department 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We are always open, and we are really, really want the community to take advantage of the services if they need it.
Thank you, Doc.
Absolutely. Have a good day.
You too. There
Take
you
care,
go.
Doc.
Thank you.
Always good to see you.
Definitely. You know what I enjoyed, Jay, and I know it's largely in part, or, it's got something to do with, I don't know how largely in part, but they're getting a lot of grants over there. So there's a lot of visibility from Guam Behavioral Health and Wellness Center about just different programs. And I mean, it's key, right? Because I think even up to now, people are just starting to realize, like, damn, I'm a little bit off from that pandemic, or, wow, I was feeling ways that I didn't never feel before during that pandemic.
Or
right?
people were, even like they say, like, I've heard it referenced as like frontliner syndrome. you were like, okay, I'm gonna put my game face on. I'm gonna go as hard as I can for as long as I can.
Yeah.
And then there comes some point where you feel like you hit the wall, and it's like my sister went through it because she got vaccinated, as our own Tomas Manglona did, in the States, because she works out in California. And she said when she got her second shot, the gravity of having to make, because she works in HR, she made 362 separate phone calls to people last year telling them that they were going to be furloughed or terminated.
Wow.
Every situation was different. And she said, like, when, after a year of just trying to, just be so tough and so strong for my brother-in-law and everything like that, like the moment just got her, and she completely went to pieces when she was getting her shot. So the National Guardsmen out there who were giving her the shot, they said, okay, let me get you a Band-Aid for your arm, and have we got some Kleenex or anything?
Kleenex around here?
Yeah,
no, I just got something in my eye.
Yeah.
No, and people, I mean, from young school age kids feeling some type of way to adults, that this pandemic has hit everybody differently.
Then again, it makes you a human being. I mean, the fact that you're
supposed to feel.
Yeah, that actually you're feeling something. You should actually appreciate that.
Right. Yep. It's actually okay to get all up in your feels, guys. That's how we were made. That's what separates us from the animals. It's 9:30.
Speaking of the feels.
Let's go over to the KUAM News Zoom room. Actually, no, let's take a break because I want to have some good time for our talk with Tomas Manglona from the KUAM News team. Is coming up next right here on The Link, which is proudly brought to you by East West Rental, Calvo Enterprises, Carrier for my aircon babies, keep it cool, IT&E, and Jack